before and I made good money, I could deal with it. But if you end up parking me out in the middle of nowhere for 72 hours, couldn't do it. Could not do it. And it's so common in this industry. And
Yes, it
granted,
is.
it done got a little bit better. It's not as bad now. A lot of regional carriers done popped up that they'll run you Monday through Friday and get you back home, Saturday to Sunday for 48 hours and you back out. But back in the day, I say a few years ago, I mean that used to just tear. I used to feel for guys like that. A lot of the mega companies like Western Express, Knight, they do those things, and to an extent they should. You're that big of a carrier with such a big drop and hook network. You should have it where your where your driver's always working. If we're gonna keep you out, if you're gonna make me stay out, keep me working. But you're not gonna make me sit 72 hours in the middle of, at a Sap Brothers in the middle of Nebraska on I-80. Like, no, not at all. And another thing that we was talking about getting over one of the biggest schemes ever is, the household miles, getting paid cents per mile on household miles, where basically they shorten you 10, 20%. I used to work for my first job was pulling out of Walmart in Gordonsville for Snyder. And when we went east, luckily we got the first 10 miles for free because, we were basically like 7 miles south of Gordonsville. But if we went to, let's say Richmond and we did like 20 miles around Richmond, we wouldn't get paid for it. But if we did Harrisonburg and went out west and we had to go through Gordonsville, then we was losing 7 miles out and losing 7 miles coming back in. So that's some of the tricks, man. Like I said, transportation is one of the most predatory things in the world. It just is. And I'm not trying to compare it to anything else that's messed out in the world, like, all the other serious stuff that goes on. But you can get in this line of work and thinking that, you about to make it and think you about to do something big and somebody get a hold of you and tell you something in your ear. And next thing you know, it ain't going to go as good as you thought it was going to go. Because like I said, it's so predatory.
I'm sorry. It's a saying that I use. Dispatching is your bridge to your money.
Yeah.
That's that bridge to your money. If you don't understand that dispatching piece, then you're messing the bridge up to your money. So, it's just so many different ways. And, there was this one guy I was talking to, what was a couple of months ago. We was at a TNA and, he said, man, I can't understand this thing here. And I said, you're on operate. He said, yeah, I'm just having a hard time. I said, you got your own MC number? He said, yeah, I do. I said, well, where do you live? He said, well, I live such and such a place. I forgot where it was. I said, well, look, let me ask you a question. He says, do you like running long haul? Do you like running regional? What do you like to do? And he says, well, man, I'm just really just after the money. I say, I tell you what, if you focus on 1,200 miles, keep it no further than 1,200 miles. And he said 1,200 miles. I said, yeah, don't go no further than 1,200 miles. Just focus on 1,200 miles. He said, what's that going to do? Well, if you found a load that's coming out, let's say that's paying $3,500 going 1,200 miles. And that's just to give you an example. Of course, it can go be a lot less, it can be a lot more, or whatever. But in that area of the 1,200 miles, you can do another 1,200 miles going back to the house. You'll be back in the house on time, and there it is. You done basically doubled your money if you just went out and stayed. So you have to watch your time, how you manage your time, because it's crazy if you go past 1,200 miles because you do not have the hours or the time to get back. 1,200 miles might take you 2 days. 2 days, boom, you there to stop, you load, you find something, boom, another 1,200 miles, you're gone back. Bam, that's it. You have done what there's your week. And then the thing is, you done made your money within that week. because you have watched and you have seen what's coming up. You know what you can do, how your truck should run based on fuel, and so you be able to navigate how you need to be able to do it. And he said, you know, man, no one never took the time to tell me how to do that.
Yeah. And I wanted to speak to that as well too,
Right.
because it's basically knowing your lanes,
Right.
knowing what commodities run where. You know, a lot of people say that, you know, I don't want to go down into Florida because I can't get out. Most of the time, that's right. But you have to know what runs out or what comes out of Florida at what time of the year. You know, produce, you potatoes, certain things, orange juice, it's going to come out of Florida. You have to know what time of year that you should be going down into Florida. So it's knowing what lanes that you're in. And then I also wanted to speak to, based on what you were talking about as far as lumpers. I remember it used to be where, because I think nowadays, when you have a lumper load, you have to be certified as a forklift driver to be able to right, to be able to offload that stuff and your load, where it used to be a way that when we were company drivers, if we needed some extra money or whatever, we would offload it ourselves, so we could provide food for ourselves, but
hey, real quick, a story about that real quick. I had a guy out of the truck stop one day. A guy came up to me. He said, "Hey, brother," he said, "you need a lumper." I looked at him like, "What?" I'm at a truck stop. He said, "You need a driver, a rider to ride you for a lumper?" I said, "Nah, man, I don't go to grocery warehouses." He had just got out of prison. He was a guy that just got out of prison, and he said that he had been in prison for about 20 years. And he said it was common for him to ride with drivers for a couple of weeks and earn money lumping their freight. So I mean that's crazy. But he got out. But he said he had just got out of jail, and he said he used to do what he did back in the 90s. Would ask guys, could he ride with them lump their truck? And I told him, I said, "Yeah, bro." I said, I think that market done died a little bit, man. And I gave him a couple of dollars to give him a sandwich or something. But but it was funny. I just thought I would mention that story real quick when you spoke about lumpers. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it just shows how time have changed. He missed 20 years, and he come back and thinking the market is the same, and it's not. It's completely different,
Right.
So you were going to say something, Robert? Or?
No, you go right ahead.
And did you? I don't know if it was something that you was going to speak to where I had cut you off or something.
Oh no, you good. I was gonna say about creating a plan. That's what I got. I tell everyone I did not buy a truck to make all this money. I didn't buy a truck to have a mansion on the hill, or people like to use the term generational wealth. I didn't buy a truck for none of that. Like I said, my dad, uncles, I had at one point I had my dad, two of his brothers, and two cousins that all drove trucks. So, I was crazy about driving the truck. That's what I wanted to do. I brought this truck. I had a job with a place after I sold my first truck. Because I sold my first truck. My daughter was born, things was real slow back in 2000. Things was real bad. So, I found a nice company job that I thought I could be at for a while, but got bored, got tired of being micromanaged. And I said, you know what? I want to go back out having fun driving the truck again. So, I brought a truck, and I told my wife didn't want me to buy the truck. My wife really did not want me to buy it. She knew I wasn't happy at my job. She asked me, well, you think it's another job you could get? She said, you always talk about logging. You want to go, can you drive a log truck for somebody? And I said, baby, the amount of money these boys making driving logs around here, we be poor in no time. I said, no, can't do that. So she finally, went on and gave me a blessing to buy the truck. And I told her, I said, hey, look, the best I can do is, I said, I won't be gone all week. I don't want to be gone all week. At the time, my daughter was, 2 years old. So I said, I don't want to be gone all week. Let me develop somewhere. I run Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, North Carolina, basically where I'm in and out the house, a night or two out the week. And she said, okay, that's fine. We'll see how it works. And so far, it's been working out that way. It really has. So, I mean, I could probably make more money running, running out west and being gone all week. But like I said, for what I do and how I do for a living, it's pretty good. It's been pretty profitable. As I told people, I done been through, the slowdown of 2019 through 2020. I survived the pandemic. I survived all that stuff. If I survived all that stuff, I got to be doing something right. I did take the government free money. I mean, you'd be a fool not to give me, well, I guess according to free money. Got to be a fool not to take the money if you could, but outside of that, it's like, hey, I mean, I got to be doing something right if I've developed this pattern of saying, hey, I don't need to make a whole lot of money. I don't need to get rich, but I need to make enough money to take care of my family, take care of my truck, and take care of myself and stay in business. As long as I do that, I'll be fine. I'll be absolutely fine. Now, I will tell y'all a secret. I hate this line of work. I hate the line of dealing with brokers and stuff. I really do. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some days it could be, you call brokers and you kind of, get somebody who's kind of rude to you and disrespectful. And, I'm a person where, I give out the same energy that I receive. So, someone get rude with me, I get rude with them right back. You go into some places and, they kind of, they get care about your time. And it's maybe more or less that I've been doing this for a while, and maybe more or less that I grew up not really wanting to be in this line of work. But even for something that I don't really necessarily like doing, working, the spot board and the, hauling general freight, I'm really good at it. I'm very good at it. I'm not even gonna lie, this is me being kind of arrogant, but I'm very good at it. If I wasn't good at it, then I would have been out of business a long time ago. So I don't mind sharing, blessing somebody with information on to make them better, which has made me, profitable and efficient over the last 4 years. I have no problem with it. But people ask me all the time, like, they tell me, you're a person that sounds like you talk like you know a lot of stuff, and I do. They ask, why don't you have a bunch of trucks? Why haven't you brought trucks and drivers? And I tell them, I said, well, first and foremost, I consider myself a truck driver. I don't consider myself a business owner or a fleet owner. I consider myself a truck driver. And the problem is that I know way too many truck drivers like myself to take care of 4 or 5 other truck drivers. I couldn't do it. It'll literally burn me to pieces. So, but at this point right now, I got a game plan, of one day taking a step back and doing some a more enjoyable line of work within this trucking industry, albeit driving. Like I said, I love driving the truck. I love that to death. So, but maybe, like I said, we're working on something where, where it's more enjoyable. My daughter's 5. I kind of want to be home with her every day or close to every day. My wife would love to have me home every dog that, when I'm gone for 2 days, when I get back home, it's like, like, hey man, where you been? Like, I'm happy you here. It's like, I think he's probably more happy to see me than my daughter's happy to see me. So, but at the end of the day though, this is a very demanding line of work. It really is. And someone as a dispatcher might hear me saying that and be like, hey, this is so demanding, you should hire me. You should hire me to help you out to relieve this stress. You should find someone like me to, to make things a little bit easier on you. But like I said, it's, not only just the dispatching part, but it's going to a ship or a receiver. And even though it doesn't happen a whole lot, when you got to sit somewhere for 9 or 10 hours, you did everything you're supposed to do. Your broker told you your appointment was at 5, and here it is 1 o'clock in the morning, and you still haven't got a load, or you still haven't got loaded. Or I had a situation one time where I got to a place and I had a 9 p.m. pickup, and we had to sit in line, and you had to pull up each time the other truck pulled up. I couldn't even go to sleep. We sit there for 6 hours, and guys was falling asleep, then someone would pass him, then they will get out. And I think the police was called to that place twice. And the police said, yeah, well, apparently the security guard is off tonight. So whenever the security guard is off, we have to respond to the fights. And he says usually other drivers calling us to report that somebody's out here fighting. So it's stuff like that that just kind of wears and tears on you. And it's just like, hey man, I just want to do something that's more peaceful and more relaxful and more enjoyable. That's the end of my rant.
Well, wow, that's interesting that, going through the piece based on the police getting involved. But I wanted to say definitely kudos to your wife, because you went to her and you expressed to her, this is what I want to do. And she, relied on you, trusted you enough to come up with a plan, and you guys were able to prosper based on that. Yeah, you're not a millionaire, like you said, based on doing it, but it's a plan that's working for you,
Right.
and also the thing about it, you say that, dispatchers may say to you, well, why don't you allow me to dispatch you so it could take off that stress? But the thing about it, because of the experience that you have, knowing and understanding how the structure operates, as we normally say, that's what puts you ahead of the pack, so to say, because
Right.
what it is that you're looking for. Yeah, it might take you a little extra time or what have we, but you're not going to be biased, so to say, on the loads that you're looking for yourself.
Right. Right.
So I just thought that was an excellent point that you brought up. And I also wanted to, I guess, know if you wanted people to be able to have access to this free course that you have. I know, they could go on Clubhouse and listen to the replay, and we'll drop that link in the description. But would you like for people to have access to your course?
I I don't know. I got to be honest. Even though I said there's a lot of vultures out here, right?
Mhm.
And I don't necessarily care if somebody, gets it and takes it on their own. I mean, it's fine if they do. Uh, like I said, that's something I created in less than 21 hours. I also feel like, couldn't nobody explain that course outside of me. Because like I said, it's my perspective, you know. It's things that I've learned, it's things that, I've picked up on out here in the last, 13 years, not only as an owner operator, but as a company driver. So um I will say this, I can drop my email. I'm drop my email, and anybody that's interested in receiving the course, or want to have it, I'll send it over. That's fine. That's fine. But just know, I'm all over Facebook. I'm in Twitter Spaces. I got friends on the YouTube community. If I see that floating around, I find out who floated it. Like, I'm not going to press no charges or sue or nothing. But we gonna talk, and I'm gonna, and I'm a person who I'm very petty. I've been petty my whole life. So I'll sit there and ask you, like, hey, can you teach me that course? I'll pay you such and such amount of money, and watch you try to teach me that course and watch you stutter and stammer all over your words because you don't have a clue because you didn't come up with it. So, but yeah, that's not a problem. You want me to give out my email, or is that something you could share to your peoples?
Oh, you could. We can get it from you, but I guess for the sake of the audience, what is your email address?
WABS transport at outlook.com.
Okay. And again, we'll drop that in the link as well. Robert, is there something that you wanted to say?
Well, actually, I wanted him to just briefly go over from start to finish, real quick. You dispatching yourself real quick. What is it that you do? Real quick, start to finish, so they can at least have a general idea of how you go about and what's on your mind when you go ahead and do that, man. So
well, how about I do you one silent? I got my phone right here. How about I find a load right here to call, put it on speakerphone, and let everyone listen? That'd be cool, or?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Let me see here. Let me find something.
And now as you doing that too, then just just a little bit more detail. What's on your mind when you're looking for this load? What are you looking to do, or where are you looking to go, or so just because when people see this, They said, okay, we talked all about this. How did he go about actually finding the load? What did he actually do? So I want to make sure before we get off of here that we give them an example of how you go about doing what you do. So that's the key.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm looking on my load board right now, right? And I find a load, and I'm looking at a load right now out of Alta Vista, Virginia, going to Lincoln, North Carolina. Alta Vista is about 83 miles from me, Lincoln, North Carolina. I have it set where, when I do the search, it's 100 miles, within 100 miles of where I live at. And it's going to within 300 miles of where I live at. So I'm looking at this load. And actually, this is funny because this is a load I've been curious about because I kind of run out of this area. I run out that shipper. I'm familiar with the shipper, so I'm already familiar with the shipper. But since I'm already familiar with the shipper, I'm curious about where is it going to, what is delivery time, and how much it's paying, because I've never delivered to this location before. The location they have listed is linked to North loads to 3 other locations pretty often out of the shipper, but I've never done it to this location. So I'm gonna call. I'm gonna ask about the load. I'm gonna find out. But my biggest thing is I want to know when does it deliver, and how much do they have on it? What's the rate? Because like I said, I'm familiar with the shipper. So I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna put it on speaker. Hopefully they can. Hopefully your listeners can hear it. We go from there. Yeah, how you doing? Load you had listed out of Alta Vista, Virginia, going to Lincoln, North Carolina for the day. Is that still available?
Yeah, that's for in. It is 30,498 pounds of food products picked up between 4 and 6 p.m. Delivers tomorrow at 5 a.m. It's paying 800.
All right, you got 800 on it. Is 800 the absolute best you can do, or you can do anything better than that? Okay. All right. Well, we'll reach back out to you if we can help you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I probably could have pushed it, even though I wasn't necessarily interested in the load. But I particularly wouldn't take this load because 800 on it, and that 15-day lane average is 840. So I would have probably needed at least 1,000 to do it, for the simple fact of right now in my area, there's 269 loads on the board. That's within 100 miles of where I live, going within 300 miles of where I live. Now, if it was a day where it was only 50 or 60 loads on the board, I would have probably tried to get her up to 900 to do it. But depending on where I was, and depending on if I was needed some work, then I maybe would have considered doing it for the 8. But 9 would have been what I really would have wanted, if it wasn't that many loads on the board. But to me, I think that offer is cheap because the simple fact of it's so many more loads in the area. 69 loads, and here it is, it's 2:30. So I mentioned something in that course where it's about the time of day. It's 2:30 right now, going on 2:30. There's 269 loads on the board, roughly. Some are multiple postings. Some are already gone. Some have been on the load board for the last 10 hours and they haven't deleted it and they're gone. So, I'm right now can control the narrative of what I want. That was just somebody who, maybe she'll come up on the price at 5 or 6 o'clock. Who knows? But that's how usually, most of the negotiation goes. I feel like I kind of shortchanged you guys because I kind of, that was simple. But let me see if there's one more I can do. Let me see if there's one more that makes a little bit of most sense.
Okay, while you're doing that, also it can also, to me, it also shows that, okay, you got 269 loads. If those loads were still all of them still valid, then it also could means that it's not as many trucks in the area and they have a lot of loads that they need to move. So it's more loads than it is trucks. So
you just brought up a good point on something too. Even if you have to reposition yourself to find even a better load. Now, how would you do with something like that, knowing that you have 200 and something loads on the board? Say you had to reposition yourself because is another load that you see that you can do that's a whole lot better, that can pay you a whole lot more revenue and cover all your costs and all that, but you have to reposition yourself. But you see a load like that, what would you do concerning that?
Like, let's say, like, would it be a load close or a load far away? Like a load like 300 miles away, or?
Well, let's say it's a load 300 miles away. Let's say it's a load 300 miles away. But you know that load is going to pay you $1,200 coming back or $1,500 coming back. But she said, okay, I can give you that load for $800. But you know that you have another load that you can come back for $1,500 or maybe even $2,000. How would you determine if you still would take that load or not? You see, you understand the question?
Yeah, I got you now. I would probably that load on the other end. It depends, because I mean, the 800, let me be honest, the 200 to 800 ain't particularly bad, right? But based on the market, that's low to me. Everybody got their costs, to some guy, he'll hit $800 even though it's been paying $840 for the last 15 days and say, oh man, I'll do that. Cause I mean, heck, I can probably get 1,700 coming back. Like, that's nothing. And then you'll have, all the super truckers and the super dispatchers be like, oh man, he hauled cheap. That's a cheap load. That's a cheap load. That's a cheap load he did. So, at that point, I would probably, I would probably tell that broker, if a broker called me and said, hey, look, because I get these calls all the time. Like I said, I'm familiar. I run North Carolina a lot. So, I run South Carolina a lot. Basically, anything west of I-95 is a lot of stuff I run in between I-95 and I-85. I also do a little bit of Hickory and stuff like that over, back towards 40. So let's say, broker calls me and say, hey, I got a load coming out of Hickory, North Carolina tomorrow that's coming up to Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm looking to be about 1,400 on it. You think you'll have a truck in the area? And here it is, early in the morning. And I tell them, well, I can try to find a load down there. I can let you know. I'm not coming right now, but I'll let you know if I can find a load. So then I got to go find me something that makes sense for me to haul, because at the end of the day, I don't want to haul down there for 300 miles on $700. But I got to come up with a price that made it be like, well, I might have took a little bit lower than what the market price made good on it. But I also can turn around and ask the broker that's trying to get me to come down there and say, hey, look, well, I can't really, I can call them back and say, hey, look, man, I can't really find nothing coming down there. But I tell you what, you throw me a little bit of extra change, to make up for the difference of what I want coming down there with, what I'm looking for, and we can get it done. And, he'll ask me, well, how much do you need? And I'll tell him, give me an extra 100, 150. It seemed like I can get about 900 going to Greensboro out of Richmond. I said 189 miles or $900 to Greensboro, North Carolina out of Richmond. I can get that. So I tell you what, let me book this to $900 to Greensboro, and let me book this $900 for Greensboro, and I can come pick up your Hickory for $1,700 tomorrow afternoon. And bam, we done came to agreement. That's granted, it's $2,500 on 600 miles, 700 miles. Someone's probably listening like, who is that? What is that cheap? That's cheap, 600. You'd be surprised what a lot of guys would think, but then it comes to, basically trying to get the other broker to help you out, or, you just take that L and take that loss and like, hey, I wanted a little bit of extra money. I couldn't get it, but, let me go ahead and take it. But at the end of the day, it's all about standing your ground and knowing your worth, right? Only you know your numbers. As I said in that course, speaking towards dispatchers, you don't want to undervalue yourself or your services, but you don't want to overvalue them neither. And it's no different than dispatching yourself. You don't want to set a rate so high where you can't find no work where you sitting, because if your wheels ain't turning, you losing money. Time is money, money is time. And if you just sitting at the truck stop trying to, gamble on that load that's gonna come across and paying $5, $6 a mile, then you losing. So I don't recommend anybody hauling cheap per se, or hauling low freight, or just hauling freight to keep the wheels moving. But you got to come up with your numbers to know what is good for you and what is not good for you. Because I mean, me, I got a $1,700 truck payment and a $300 trailer payment and a $1,200 insurance payment. So that's $3,200. And the next man, he might got a brand new 389 Pete where his bill, where his truck note is more than all of that combined. He could have a $3,300 truck note and $1,000 trailer note and a $2,000 insurance bill where $2,400, $2,500 on 600 miles don't ticket his fancy. He needs a run where he can make $3,500 on 700 miles, and he can find another way where he can bundle something up. So it's all about your costs and what you knowing. And as a dispatcher, it's all about for your carrier or you the carrier, it's all about to know what your bottom line is, what you need to make. So like I said, I'm someone and I don't mind giving out figures. And some people might, think it's low, and some people might think it's good. Some people might think it's not true. But as a person that operates 300 miles from where I live at, just outside of Richmond, I do North Carolina, South Carolina, not as much Maryland as I used to anymore. And I'm between $500 to $6,500 a week, only running 1,500 miles a week. I mean, that's pretty good for me. I want to get home as much as possible. I sleep in my bed every night except for 2 nights out the week, and I can still bring home that amount of money. And I don't have to run up north to deal with the traffic. I don't have to run across mountains a lot. Granted, I run up 64 and 81, but I'm used to that by now. So that's my game plan to know where I'm making money, where I feel comfortable. I'll tell this story real quick and I'll get off. But there's a friend of mine who, we were on Facebook one day and a broker posted a load. And the broker wanted to pay $3,500 round trip from Richmond. It went from Richmond to somewhere in New Hampshire to Richmond. And it was roughly about 1,200 miles. I think it was 1,100 miles or something like that. And I told my friend I thought it was good money. I told him I thought it was good. I said, you leave the house Monday morning, you get up there Tuesday morning, you back home Tuesday night, Wednesday morning at the worst. You just made $3,500. I said, that's good. I said, you might have to, fork out probably about $500 in tolls, which that was a rough estimate. But I said, that's $3,000 you just made. That's $1,500 a day. And he told me, he said, nah, man, that's not good money, in my opinion. He said, I wouldn't do it. I would have told him I wanted $5,000. And he really meant it. And at the end of the day, we as friends, we can sit there and debate each other about it and argue about it. But as business owners, that's what he needed. He needed $5,000 to get it done. $5,000, and came back home and went back and got to work. So I mean, hey, that's just what it is, man. Just everybody got their own costs, and I know you guys are people of faith. So there's an old saying, "Go, what you eat don't make me poop." So there's a worse version of that. So, but yeah, I mean that's particularly how it is, man. And a lot of people in trucking, in transportation, they don't let that apply to them. It's like, hey, they hear such and such took a load for like $1,000 on 100 miles, and they say, well, man, you could have got $1,500 on it. So I'm mad at you. You haul for cheap. And it's like, bro, he made $1,000 on 100 miles, and he loaded it early that morning and got it off late that evening. So if you could have got 50, fine. But that gentleman, he might got a paid off truck, low insurance, good fuel, and I mean, he made pretty good money doing it. So who are you to tell him he didn't make any money? He didn't make no money because you got a higher cost of living. Like, your cost of living is higher, your truck note is higher, your insurance note is higher, and his is not. I mean, come on, man. But that's just what that's what I would do. Back to your original question. That's how I would negotiate it would be, I would ask the broker on the other end, like, hey, you help me out with deadhead a little bit because I really can't find a good rate coming down here. Well, that's what I would do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And because I know I like how you also put it on that other end coming back. Say, okay, if I can't make it on this end, let me go on the other end and say, hey, I can move that load for you, you know, but this is what it's going to take for me to move that load. You tell me what you want to do. I can do it. You tell me what. 9 times out of 10, they normally work with you because they're more concerned about making sure they have a courier assigned to that load than hunting for somebody to move that load. You know, so
right, exactly.
So I already know. So we've been through that game too. So man, it's just been great talking to you today, man. It really had, man. You really blessed me today, man. So our heart is for the company driver who wants to transition into owner operators. That's our heart. So what we trying to do is to make sure we cover all areas of that transitioning period. And to help them when they get into that position of owner operator, they have such a strong foundation they already coming out making money or knowing how or what they need to do in order to make money and to take care of themselves and the things that they have to do. This is not about a quick get rich scheme from us or whatever the case may be. It's about truly, our heart is to help the driver to move ahead, to get what they need to do in order to take care of their family. You know, like I said, man, I've been doing this, you know, since I got out of school. I've been in transportation. So, you know, I don't even know if dirt is that old, you know. But I've been in this for a while.
Wow.
So I know that I know where my heart is on this, and I just want to make sure that we giving people that has valuable information that can help transition. That's why if you ever go on our YouTube channel, Trucking and Business, you see so many different variations of what we have on there. It's because it's about the driver. You are your most precious commodity. If you don't take care of you, then everything else you do is not going to, it's useless. You know, you can't win. Thank you. You can't win that way. So I know we're gonna get ready to close this thing down, man. We can keep going, but go ahead, honey. Go on and do what you have to do or whatever you need to do.
Okay. Well, Walt, we thank you for coming on and spending this time with us to educate, you know, our audience, you know, on dispatching, you know, and definitely from a driver's perspective. So we'll say to our audience, you know, contact him, you know, if you're interested in getting into dispatching. Don't give out his information. Use it for yourself, you know, and if you know someone is interested in his information, have them contact him directly. So with that being said, we'll say this is Robin and Sharon from Trucking and Business, and we say be safe.